Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Pilot Vanishing Point. This is the pen that really got me into fountain pens, and that's because of this awesome one-handed operation. This is a click pen. So in my work, I need a hand free just in case of events that could occur quickly in the environment. So I don't carry pens generally that have a twist off cap, even if it's postable, because that still takes two hands. I might need to keep one hand free while I just do like one of these and do a couple hash marks to mark a couple bits of data. But I need at least a hand free generally. So one thing that I didn't take to fountain pens was the whole capped thing, which is a big part of fountain pens in general. Then I stumbled on this guy. So the Pilot Vanishing Point is a click pen, and they've been making it since the 60s. So once I learned the history with this, they knew what they were doing by this point. They've been making this for a long time. This has a really nice and smooth mechanism. The other thing that drew me to this one was I came from the machine pen world. So a material is a big component of a machined pen when you're making a purchase. What is it? Is it aluminum? Is it titanium? Right? Is it zirconium? Oh, it's rhodium. This is one of my eums. This is one of my metal brothers. All right, I know what I'm dealing with now. So this is a rhodium plated version, which attracted me in that sense too, coming from the machine pen world. It is a little bit flashy and ostentatious, I will say that. But using it at work, I like it because when I leave it on a desk, I don't lose it easy. If I have to walk away for a moment, where sometimes if this was on the desk, I might not. But anyway, I liked this one so much that I ended up kind of really going down the rabbit hole of vanishing points. Right? Look at that one. All right, so let's talk more about the Vanishing Point. So we've already talked about the history. They've been around for a long, long time. They know what they're doing. We talked about the different materials. Let's cover the different price points at this point. So we've got entry-level versions, which is like this guy here, just kind of a matte black. There we go. And again, it's all the same mechanisms. So the same mechanism, the same click. The nibs are interchangeable. So let's show you that. I gotta move that down because it's messing up our zoom. So all of the nibs are interchangeable, as in you can take this one and put it in there if you wanted. I could take this one and put it in there. I could take that one and put it in there. So that's a really cool thing, especially when you get into maybe having a collection with a couple of these, because you can swap the nibs. It's something that you do have to take your time and clean it out, because if you just swap them on a whim, you're gonna get some leftover residual ink on the trap door. The trap door is another thing that makes these things special. Again, it's not newly innovated. That's one of the things that made these things special way back when. But in there's a tiny trap door, so before you poke out the nib, that little trap door gets pushed down. So when it retracts, that trap door goes up and it seals your compartment so your ink doesn't dry out. And that's what makes these things so special. In the Japanese market, they just call it a capless because it doesn't have a cap. They don't go by the name Vanishing Point. That's kind of an American thing. So something to keep an eye out if you're searching for these on the secondary market, which can be an awesome thing. If you look for reputable dealers that are from Japan that might not be in America, you can catch really good deals on some of these. I actually paid wholesale for this Raiden here. And if you're into fountain pens, then you know what a Raiden is. This is a Grail Vanishing Point right here, especially for me. I love this thing. I love abalone. So but yeah, well, let's talk about this one. So this one is the Raiden. It was a special edition. They've got 3 different types with different forms of abalone in there. I liked this one because when you were holding it, you still see a big, assortment of abalone right there. Some of the others are more spread out where your fingers might kind of, obscure that from view. So I kind of liked this one because it was always right in view there, especially when you're writing. This one is Urushi, which is a special resin from Japan and some other parts of Asia. But it's a very special process where it's resin that's been, applied in multiple layers and dried over weeks and weeks. So it creates a very lustrous, like smooth feel to the touch. So that's an awesome thing. And then that one's also rhodium, clip and everything there. Let's talk about the clip. So the clip, some people, they say it looks weird because it's on that side. So first off, with a fountain pen, you just want to play it safe. You don't want any chances of a leak, so you want to store it upwards, right? So that's why the clip's there. So when it sits in a pocket, the ink is flowing down. There's even less of a chance of any sort of ink spill. Now, a lot of people think it's going to be uncomfortable to the hand, but I actually really like it. It gives you, especially on an otherwise cylindrical, object, it gives you a point of reference. And that's important because when you have a nib, you want that nib properly aligned. So this clip aligns to the top of the nib. So even if you can close your eyes and you can grab this pen and your fingers can align perfectly so you can write with it. And that's just a really cool thing. I actually like the nib and I like how it feels when I'm writing with this. So some people worry about that placement, the clip. Some people worry about the clip placement. I actually prefer it being there. I think it's a really cool thing. All right, let's see, what else? So we already talked about the converter. It comes with the Con 40, and you can kind of swap nibs like we talked about, just clean out your pen. But it's an awesome thing in that you've got these different layers of, what you're gonna do with this pen. So you've got everything from your daily kind of matte black beater there, EDC type thing, all the way up to like your maybe mid-tier one that's nicer materials, all the way up to your like high-class Grail materials there. The boxes they come in are equally kind of tiered, right? So this is an example. Where are we? There we are. This is the matte black one, I think, came in this one. So nothing special there. You've got the stripe. Oh, you know what? I was actually wrong there. That was the stripe. This is the matte black. So this is the matte black one. It looks a little fancier on the outside, but the case itself is actually simpler. So this was the matte black. The other one was the medium tiered one, the clamshell one. Here, this one. This one is the kind of medium tiered one. And then the Raiden came with like a nicer box. And then you open it up, it's got this wooden box here. Let's keep going there. So you get the wooden box. It's got this kind of nice like red velvet on the inside. So the presentation is very much nicer as you go up in scale too. That said, it's the same pen, guys. It's, it might have urushi instead of, just black brass, but it's still the same pen. The mechanism is still the same. It's a beautiful mechanism, but that's one thing to keep in note when you are kind of scaling up here, is a lot of people might not want to pay a Raiden price for what is essentially a base level mechanism that has remained unchanged. That said, hey, that mechanism has been around since the 60s. It is venerable, it is tried and true. I would not worry a second about the mechanism. Let's talk more about that mechanism. So the mechanism here, it's got a long throw, especially if you're coming from other click pens. This is like, 15% of the pen's body. So it's got a long throw with increasing resistance all the way until the click, which is almost right about when you meet the body there. And then this part is now kind of free play, so you can kind of play around with that. It does not disengage it. It does not disengage it until you go all the way back down and release it. It's a very satisfying click, so much so that it's actually fun and fidgety to play with. Which is why they invented some other forms. They've got 2 other models of this type click pen, and one of them is like a smooth, quiet release. So that way you don't annoy people if you are playing with the mechanism. I've never had an issue, but that does exist, and that's one of the reasons they ended up making that. But this is one of my favorite pens, guys. I will always have a Vanishing Point on me, more or less. So I would just like to say thank you for watching. Thank you for kind of continuing my journey with me. And we will definitely see you with more reviews in the future.